connecting Indigenous musicians and artists to the world. Welcome to Indigenous Superstars with your host, Rhonda Head.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I'm coming to you live from Big Name, Manitoba, the heart of Opaskwayak Cree Nation. And welcome to show 75. So I'm really excited to be hosting the show tonight again. And we're inching slowly close to 100 shows. So I'm really excited about that. And hi, Kim from Kansas. How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. It's always good to see you tuning in on the show. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. So I just want to make a few announcements. On May 6th, there's going to be a talent show that hosting along with Clear Sky Connections, and we're doing a live talent show with the youth from 13 to 30. So get your registration in as soon as you can. The show will be live streamed on Indigenous Superstars and on love.hope.wins. So if you know of any singers in Manitoba between 13 to 30, get them to register. It's a $25 registration fee. And the top 3 winners from May 6th will go on to the finale on June 6th, where they'll have a chance to win $1,000. And then there'll be 2 other talent shows as well, and I'll advertise them next week. So there's a silent auction going on right now as well for the the talent show, and the proceeds of the fundraising will go towards the homeless in Winnipeg. So it's a really good initiative and a good cause for this initiative that the youth have taken on in Winnipeg, and I want to give them a huge congratulations for taking this on and helping out the people that need it in Winnipeg, the homeless people in Winnipeg. The other thing I want to mention, tomorrow's the last day to vote. I'm running for the SOCAN election board to 2021, and I'm hoping to get on this board to bring some diversity and to represent Indigenous people, but not only Indigenous, but all musicians, because I have a huge passion working for our artists. So please go out and vote. Tomorrow's the last day, and you must be a SOCAN member in order to vote in this election. So I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully I get onto the board. And the other announcement I have is that we're Indigenous Superstars is going to be having an inaugural music award show, and I'm just going to play the.
It's an evening of celebration as the inaugural Indigenous Superstars Music Awards 2021 features 26 categories and the chance to take home Top Honor of the Year. This awards ceremony will increase awareness of a songwriter's craft and gain recognition online and through promotion. The show will be streamed live on Indigenous Superstars and Frog Radio, with an announcement coming soon on the date of our awards celebration. To register your songs or single, they must have been released and distributed on Spotify between January 1st, 2019 and July 31st, 2021 at midnight. Entries for submissions are already underway. For all the details, and to see the list of 26 categories, plus hear artist song entries, please visit our website at indigenousuperstars.com.
So that's my exciting announcement that I've been announcing for the past couple of weeks. So get your nominations in and try and win an award for the Indigenous Superstars. So tonight I have a really exciting guest, and I want to thank the people tuning in this evening. Someone says, aho. So I'm just going to read the bio of my next guest, and it's Jonathan Windy Boy. And Windy Boy is known as the Michael Jordan of powwow and grass dance. He's also a tribal leader for the Chippewa Cree a former member of the Montana House of Representatives, and a former state senator for Montana. Currently, Wendy Boy serves as a member of the Montana, not Manitoba, Montana House of Representatives in District 32. Montana's well-known Chippewa Cree Wendy Boy, Jonathan Wendy Boy, has been indicted into the Montana Indian Athletic Hall of Fame. Please welcome my guest. Help me welcome my guest, Jonathan Wendy Boy. Hey, how's it going?
Hello, how are you doing there, Rhonda? And that's inducted, not indicted.
Oh, sorry. That's right. Sorry about that. Inducted into the. I'm glad you got it. When Jonathan has been inducted into the Montana Indian Athletic Hall of Fame. I remember reading that when the it was announced, and really was really proud of you that that you got this honor. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. But so I just wanted to mention some of your accomplishments as well to the people tuning in. Um, Jonathan has won 17 titles at the Gathering of Nations Powwow in Albuquerque. Jonathan also won 14 times at the United Tribe Grass Dance in Bismarck, North Dakota. He is also a 5-time champion at the Scamitson, Connecticut World Champion. That's close by Hartford, Connecticut. And having a song and dance created in his honor, Niha Nimi Nimitu Awasis Dancing Trial by Northern Cree, and mentioned in National Geographic. And he also danced at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia. And Janet, my sister, says, "Hi, Jonathan."
Hello, Janet, how are you?
So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, Jonathan. How did you get involved in powwow?
Well, I was born in 1958. In 1960, I was initiated by my parents at Fort Belknap Powwow in Montana, Fort Belknap Reservation. And I've been doing this now for 61 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. So you danced the grass dance. Can you tell us about that dance?
Well, back in the day when I was young, they didn't have the multiple categories that they have now. It was just boys and men and women, boys, girls, men and women. And the prize money wasn't that much. It was like $5, $3, $2 for second and third. And at that time, I never really understood the value of what money was, because of coming up in a from a big family, and it was just more getting out there and having fun. And at that time, grass dance was introduced to Rocky Boy by the name of Tom Bearstail from Fort Berthold in the 50s. And so at that time, the what you see and know as grass dance today with the fringe was introduced over here. Before then, we had tail feathers, and if some of you know what the crow style is, that is pretty much basically the style that we had back in those days. And over the course of time, as a grass dance was popular in the 60s and then the 70s, and that's when some dancers from down south had fancy feathers. So the 70s was 1970s was pretty much the era of fancy dance. And then it was in the early 80s when Dean Fox, Wade Baker had reintroduced or not reintroduced, but has kept that style going of grass dance. And then in the early 80s, from then on, was the grass dance had pretty much grown to where it's at today, and they had kept it alive. And there wasn't too much of the grass dance style until the probably the early to mid 80s. And then from then on, it just kind of bloomed into what we have today. And when I got back into it, I was about 82 around there, switching from the fancy dance, and then the grass dance was a style that I wanted to pick back up again. And so at that time, I was running 10 to 20 miles a day and biking 20 to 40 every other day. So I was pretty much in pretty good shape. And as you recall, Rhonda, that was about when I met you guys. It was back in the mid 80s, around there, mid to late 80s. And so at that time, I know that our friendship and everything has prospered since that time. And it's always, always good to see all of you guys up there. And that's when I started coming around Manitoba, because I've traveled all 48 states and into Canada, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario. So it kind of pretty much put some miles on the roads, and that was one of my goals, is to get out there, see the country, and if making a name for myself was going to come along a way with that, then so be it. But I sure wasn't looking forward or working to being inducted into this Hall of Fame, which was a big surprise, but also a big honor.
Yeah, that's for sure. When we read about it, we were really proud of you, and yeah, so that must have been so exciting. So what does it like? Can you tell us who else is on that Hall of Fame that you're
Well, mostly they were all basketball and track and other sports, and powwow has just been, like I said, I wasn't looking forward to it, but they recognized my accomplishments, and that's when they inducted me. And there was also another one that they asked me for a lady to be inducted, and then posthumously I said, what's her name? I forget her name, from Crow, but they instead selected her sister.
oh, nice. That is so awesome. Janet says congratulations and well deserved. Well, you know what I always say about the powwow people that follow the powwow trail and dance in the powwow trail. I call it powwow Olympics, because like you just mentioned that you ran 10 to 20 miles a day, and then you biked another 20 the alternate days. Like, it's so much work that the dancers prepare to dance, and when they're out there dancing, they make it look like it's so effortlessly, but meanwhile there's so much training and blood, sweat, and tears that goes into when you want to become a dancer.
And that's one of the other things too, I want to mention, as far as powers and stuff. It's more, like you said, it's more physically demanding, as well as the preparation. But also a key part that assisted me is that this is my 38th year of drug and alcohol free. And 38 years ago, when I got back into it, was when I quit drinking and using drugs and all of that. So it's also a part of the spirituality of our being as Indigenous people. So that is also a key part of my life that I attribute to.
That's so awesome. Lenny Firefly from Alberta, Stony Park, says it's about time, Kona.
Hey, Lenny, how you doing?
Well, that's so one. Thank you for sharing that, because there's such a big. Um, it's like a circle, right? And not only it's physically, mentally, but it's also spiritually. And I'm glad you mentioned that. And Janet says, "What do you do mentally? How do you mentally prepare before contest?"
Well, that's a part of the key at my own secret, is that once I get out there, I block everything out. It's just me and the drum. And there was one time I was asked, "Aren't you scared of so and so because you're in their territory, this and that?" But for me, when it's not, it isn't about me being scared of anybody. It's my attitude and thought processes that if anybody should be scared, it's them. And that's what I told the guy. And that's how the preparation. And and during my time, you've seen my style over the course of time, is that there was many moves. And that was one of the secrets that I have, is I tried not to duplicate a move in one song. And when I took a break here in 2000, I counted 264 moves that I had, and I had names for each of them. So whenever the pressure was on and whatever, then I would think of a name that I gave some of these moves, like the top, spider, whirlwind, just different names. So once I remember that name, and then I know which move to go to, and that was the key to my success, or a part.
That's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And Lenny Firefly from Stony Park says he doesn't drink at all, brother. Just breaks hearts. So with that, I'm going to show a video of you dancing at a contest powwow. So that was a tie that you had. Um, let me see what the title is. It says Jonathan Wendy Boy versus Lee Jack, Grass Dance Tiebreaker, Southern Youth Powwow,
Yeah, that was
2019.
that Lee Jack. I seen him grow up from Tiny Tots on, and he was in his at that time he was in his early 20s, and I was 60, and I beat him, by the way. And but it, that's one of the things that, like I said, when I get into these contests, that was 18 plus grass dance special, and that's one of the things that I've done. My key to winning those things is that I go back 30 years and pull out moves that a lot of these young guys haven't seen or heard of before. So that's another
That's
key.
so awesome. Well, congratulations on winning, and for the audience tuning in, when I know when me and my sister go to powwows, and when we watch men's grass, we could just pick you out right away, and we just love to watch you dance, and your dances are healing to us, and we feel good when we watch you dance, and you just like you're floating on the in the arena. It's so your dancing is so beautiful. And Dennis Zotai is tuning in from Washington, listening to the interview in Washington D.C., and he's in support of Jonathan. He says, "Hey Dennis, how is it going?" And a Facebook user says hi, and Janet says she misses Powell. But yeah, that's what I was mentioning, when me and my sister would go to powwows, and there are certain dancers that you watch on the powwow arena that just stand out, and you're one of them, and we really enjoy watching you dance, and it brings us happiness and joy to watch. That's medicine and healing for us when you dance, and you dance so beautifully. So I wanted to tell you that.
One of the things, Rhonda, you're talking about some of the different dances and stuff. Over the course of the time in my early years, I've asked questions to some of my elders, and I asked my grandpa one time, it was, what is old style grass? And he looked at me and he said, you got your head, you got your shoulders, you got your hips, you got your legs. Use them. Don't be afraid to use them, because there's not many people. There's some people out there that don't have that opportunity or ability. And so as I start to follow that and thinking about more and more about some of the other teachings that other elders have told me, and some people call it this sweetgrass road of life, as a part of like when you look at a braid of sweetgrass, you have a beginning and you have the end. And that sweetgrass road of life, you can see that braid going from left to right, left to right. And that's the same way that how I've looked at as far as my dancing. And when my grandpa once told me too, that when you do a move on one side, you follow up on the other. And that kind of goes into that whole concept that we try to keep our whole being in balance. And in Cree, as you know, Nehioak is the four-bodied person, the mind, the emotion, the physical, and the spirit. And so for my dancing and the style that I have, that's what I try to incorporate, and that's why I always try to follow that process. So it's all a learning process of life, and at the same time, just like any other part of our ceremony, that dancing is a way of life for me anyway, on those basic teachings of life.
That's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So what kind of advice would you give a young dancer getting into powwow and starting to dance in the arena?
Don't drink, stay off drugs, lead a good life. Every once in a while we fall every once in a while, but at the same time we pick ourselves up, brush it off, and keep going and try the best, because there's no human alive that's perfect. And if we're perfect, then we'd be where our creators at. And the thing about it is that when we live that type of life, that don't be afraid to make a mistake, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because the only dumb question is one not asked.
Good point. I like that. Yep. The only dumb question is one not asked. That's really good. I like that. So I wanted to go back about people are people are calling you the Michael Jordan of the powwow and grass dance. And then I also shared about how many titles you've won at Gathering of Nations, winning 17 times, and then United Tribe Grass Dance at Bismarck, winning it 14 times, and then being a 5-time champion at the Skimitzen. Like that, those are all big powwows. How do you how do you how do you say how do you prepare, or how, like what do you do um to prepare on those big contests, because there's so many dancers that go to those powwows that I mentioned, and I know you said like you go into your own bubble, I guess you would say, but what else can you tell us, like how do you prepare for winning these big name powwows?
Well, when you mentioned the Gathering of Nations, and just like the Southern Ute is a mile and a half high elevation, and Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque is a mile high. And so what I would do is I would, well, most recently on the later years, but what I would do is I would go to Flagstaff, which is close to 2 miles high in elevation, and I would train there. I would run there and get my vascular system up, and get my heartbeat rate up, and get used to the elevation, because that's what's going to happen. And every once in a while, when you go into lower elevations like Phoenix, for example, Phoenix, Arizona, that's below sea level or at sea level, And what I would do is I would train that much harder as far as instead of doing long distance training, I would do more of a sprint, like a 100-yard dash, do a lot of jump ropes and get ready physically, because if you're not ready physically, then you won't be ready mentally, and vice versa. And I say that because when I prepare myself mentally, and if I'm not ready to step up to the plate physically, then the mind will go, but the body will say heck no, and vice versa. So that's just a part of a practice that I've had. And the same goes like when I go to Florida, they too are at sea level, so it's going to be a lot easier. But the different climates across the state, you just got to kind of gauge what the climate is going to be and prepare that way mostly. And a lot of times people don't understand or realize that squats and you know the glutes are a real key to dancing. And that's what I always try to work on, is to try to do that part of physical training.
That's awesome. Awesome words. Thank you for sharing that. Janet's asking, what would you tell the youth about caring for their outfits?
What I would say is, when you get an outfit, caring for it is like a part of you, because it is a part of you when you get out there. And like I said, that when you're displaying your gift, the gift of dance, and then that's what you do. It's just like when we get up in the morning, you take a shower and we fix our hair, we try to make ourselves look presentable, and that's the same way with how one should treat their outfits. And that's the longer you take care of it, the longer it'll last.
Good words. Gay Sparvier said that boy, Jonathan Windy Boy, good words. And Lenny
And
Firefly says, you're the rubber man. The moves he does in the past, and he said they don't see that today.
yeah, thanks. And that's one of the things, that when my in my dancing style, there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand or realize, like the head roach, for example, made of porcupine hair. A long time ago, that porcupine, before he was turned into a porcupine, he too was a human, and he was known as a great hunter with never ending arrows. And that's why when you approach a porcupine, right away he gets on the defensive. And when he throws his porcupine quills, that's the same thing. And that's why when we wear him as on a roach on our heads, that's what it represents, is that him being a scout and a hunter. That was his role. And the same thing with the plumes, the feelers they call them, or else some dancers use feathers, eagle feathers, and those plumes, they represent the two older brothers. And the same way with the eagle, when they use the feathers on the head like that, that's what they're doing, is to keeping watch, keeping an eye out from above. And these little bit of tidbits, of teachings that not everybody gets to hear. And at the same time, there's some of us who tried to share these things with especially the young dancers. Really, really, it's important. And just like one of my late uncles once told me, is that when it comes to spirituality, don't be stingy, because not everybody knows what I share with you. And so that's why I say that. That's what that represents. And the same thing with this breastplate. I bet you a lot of dancers probably don't understand why we wear breastplates. Well, it goes back to that drum ceremony, that when you have a preparation of that pup, which is a bear medicine, and when you prepare that, that's what that represents, is that when we take off that how the portions are prepared, that breastplate is connected to the head. And so that's what that represents is a warrior's armor. And so they, like I said, these things here are basically what we try to share with others.
Janet says, thank you for sharing your knowledge. And yeah, I want to thank you for sharing that as well. And one of the ladies from my community is asking, is it more meaningful to make your own regalia or to be gifted?
Well, either way, I mean, and when you talk about some of the, like me, I don't know how to sew, so I have other people sew my yarn and everything, but the beadwork I've given the design to my sister-in-law who's married to my cousin, and she's the one who made my beadwork, and this other one, Marianne Patrick, had made the replica of that particular one. And so it all depends, because a lot of times, like even today's powwow, about the when you start learning more and more about the background and the history of powwow, how that drum way came to us is really significant. And a lot of times, this competition powwow that we know and see nowadays has overcome that real meaning. And when that word gift is something that's really important. That's why a lot of these established powwows on reservations who have a lot of family giveaways and all of this stuff, there's that gift giving portion of that. And when families give away star quilts, Pendletons, and all of these material gifts, and when people have these elders speaking in front there before, and that's what they're doing, is they're offering all of our ancestors, our relatives who've gone on, and they take the spiritual part of those items, and then in return they give us the supernatural powers that we're all gifted with after we go on, and that's luck, our mind, as well as our path. And they have that ability to help us in that way, and that's the secret of that gift giving portion of powwows that we know. And a lot of times, these dancers nowadays who are into competition and stuff, that's what they say is that oh man, we should get going. There's too darn many giveaways and stuff like that. But yet at the same time, that's a major portion of what powwow is.
That's right. She also says, so basically, the outfit is a representation of you, as each piece symbolizes you.
Yes, and it's long ago, when we go to different gatherings like that, you can pretty much tell by the designs of a person's regalia and stuff, is that you can tell, oh, okay, that one there is they're from Crow, or else this is from a different tribe and stuff, and it symbolized what tribe they come from, or what part of the country they come from. But nowadays, everybody's pretty much gets pretty creative on coming up with their own individual designs.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Yeah, and it's true. Like I know when I went to the Powwow, there's different tribes have certain different designs that represent the territory that they come from. So that's really powwow is a real beautiful way of life. And oh, she says thank you. And I know everyone's missing powwow, and I'm so jealous. I'm not living in the States right now because their powwows are starting up. And you were telling me, Jonathan, before that you're heading out to Four Bears Casino in a couple of weeks, end of May, I believe.
Yes, that's in North Dakota, Newtown, North Dakota. And then also I'll be heading over to on 6th, 7th, and 8th of July. I'll be heading to Red Lake, Minnesota. And then as soon as they finish there, I'm going to pack up all the way back to Browning, Montana on that next day, 9, 10, 11. So it's good to be back, and it's good to be back in my way of life.
Ah, you guys are so lucky. We're currently on lockdown right now, and I'm not sure when the border is going to open up, but I know as soon as it's open, and me and Janet want to be on the Powwow Trail again. I'm getting a new dress made, so I'm really excited to get back to dancing again. And I miss traveling so much. Right now, we're like I said, Manitoba's on lockdown till the end of May, and my reserve is on lockdown till mid-May. But we're probably going to go on lockdown again because Manitoba's back on lockdown. So the other question I wanted to ask you is about your career in politics. How did you get into politics?
Well, I used to do a lot. Actually, my my great grandpa, who comes from Canada, he was war chief for Big Bear at that time, and so when it wasn't really politics, but it was a leadership role that he had. And then my grandpa, he at the early times of formation of Rocky Boy, he sat on council, and then my uncles served on there. My dad served on there from 1966 to mid 80s, and then my brother got on from 88 to 2004 and 1998. In the 90s, I used to do a lot of drug and alcohol prevention during the off season, and I done a lot of national education, motivational speeches, and all of that stuff. And I tried to incorporate my presentations to the youth based upon that and drug and alcohol free way of life and all of that stuff. And then one of the frustrations that I had was that in my own community, I was doing this in the schools. We'd do teepee making, outfit making, different parts of that as far as the cultural stuff. And one of the students in grade school that noticed I was sitting there quiet, and that student asked me what was wrong. So I said, it gets really frustrating. I said, I do a lot of this stuff across the country into Canada. I said, and I really get a lot of support from communities in what I'm doing, but it's really frustrating for me here. And this was mid 90s 1990s when I was asked that. And so I said, and even my tribal leadership don't even take much interest of what I'm trying to do here. And then that student, grade school student, looked at me and asked me, and said, why don't you run? And that kind of hit home for me. And so in 1998, I ran for tribal council, and I was on there till 2010. And then from 2002, I was the chairman of the Montana Wyoming Tribal Leaders Council, which was based in Billings, that represented all the tribes in Montana as well as Wyoming. And when I was chairman there, the council members had an issue on human services at our state capital, so they passed a position paper resolution and sent me to Helena at our capital here to advocate on behalf of the tribe. So I did. I came over here, and it was ironic that my representative at that time was on the committee that I was presenting to, and he voted no. He voted no, voted against what I went there for. And so I didn't even leave the room, and they took a vote, and he voted against what I was there for. So as I was leaving, he followed me out and said, "Hey, Jonathan, it's not what you think." He said, "You don't understand how things operate around here." I turned around, I told him, I said, "You know what? I may not know how things operate around here, but I will, because the next year's election in 2002, I'm going to take you out." And so I've been here since 2002, and 20 years later, 10 sessions later, I'm still going strong. And that's one of the keys that I've always went in there from the get-go is don't beat around the bush. Tell it like it is. Tell the truth, and don't BS anybody. And that's what got me here, and still here, and I'm gonna be here until they take me out on a stretcher, I guess.
So what is your current title now? Are you the like I said on your bio that you were a member of Montana House of Representatives? That what your title is
Yeah,
now?
yeah. You see how the whole system here, how it's set up, is that in the 90s there was term limits that were each member's was only allowed to serve 4 sessions or 8 years. And when I got on in 2002, I served 3 sessions there, 03 session, 05 and 07. and I could have served out one more, but I would have had to have set out another couple years after that to run for the Senate seat. So in 2008, I ran for the Senate. I took out incumbent, and I've been served in there from 2008 to 2016. And then after I finished there, I took out my House member in 2016, and I have one more session in 24. I'll be running for the Senate, and I told my senator, I said, well, I want to give you an offer. We can switch seats, or I'm going to take you out. So I don't know if he took that too well.
That's awesome. So Amanda G. Laflin is tuning in. She's our MLA here for the PA in Manitoba, and she's like, "Wow, a former state representative." So she's happy to hear that because she's into politics, and she's been in MLA for a couple of years. And Janet is asking, "Did you meet Trump?"
No, and I never want to.
I don't blame you.
Well,
I don't want to meet. I don't want to meet him neither.
back in 2008, I endorsed President Obama then, and so at that time I got to meet him 9 times, and they also selected me to be his co-chair of his Get Out the Native vote across the country down here. So I was able to do that, and I was invited to a lot of functions at the White House, and I even got to play basketball against him. He was
Awesome.
He was
Did you beat him?
Yeah. Well, actually, when they were picking teams, I got to guard him.
Oh, okay. So you're playing with him. Okay. Okay. That's
But he was
cool.
pretty good.
So did you ever
Oh my
perform
God.
it? Did you perform at the White House?
No, actually, like I said, I was just got invited to the different functions there, but no, I had that opportunity to be with him, and we were on a first name basis, which was pretty cool. I mean, actually, not every
That
day you
is
get to
cool.
be friends with the president.
That's right. Yeah, and who cares about Trump, right?
Yeah, boy, I tell you, man, we're having withdrawals from all the stuff that he did.
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, one of the things, when I'm here at the legislature, like this session here, there's 100 members in the House of Representatives, and 40 of them are freshmen, first time, everything. So every session, I'm always having to give them history lessons about what our people, and because they're always saying that Indians don't pay taxes, blah blah. So I just turn to them and tell them like it is that we paid our dues.
Right. And it's the same thing here in Canada too, but we paid with our land. Hey. But it's like
Yeah.
it's the same thing with all Indigenous people. You know, we paid a heavy tax with our land and our
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah, I know
Yep.
one of the things that was kind of last week, there was this one representative was trying to figure out what the definition of retroactive applicability means. And what retroactive applicability is, going back in time. If this is applying to them retroactive, it goes back to whenever. And so when he asked that question to somebody, and it was kind of a vague answer. So I got up and I told him I want to address what my colleague over here asked about what retroactive applicability means. In 1889, Montana became a state. In the next session, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to present a bill to every Montana resident, property tax due since 1889. That's retroactive applicability.
Well, I hope that bill passes.
But every once in a while, that's like I said, you just got to tell it like it is, and just tell them straightforward. That's the only way they can understand.
Yeah, exactly. And Amanda, the MLA, said that she does the same thing at the Manitoba Legislative. So it's really
Good,
great that we have leaders in politics representing us and talking on our behalf.
yeah, good job. You go, whoever that is.
Yeah. Which one? Oh, that's Amanda Laughlin. She's the MLA for
Oh,
the PAW region for Manitoba.
all right, you go, girl.
Yeah. She's been a MLA for the past 6 years. She said,
Cool. Nice. I've been,
"Yeah,
with all my combined years in politics, I have 30 under my belt, 32 now.
wow, that's so awesome." So there's some new people that tuned in, and I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask you again about being inducted into the Montana Indian Hall of Fame. Can you tell us about that again?
Well, it was like, it wasn't anything that I was shooting for. I didn't even know there was a Montana Indian Hall of Fame, but it was just through my accomplishments, I guess, that the board of directors had recognized it, and they voted on it, and they inducted me for my dancing ability. So, it is an honor, and glad that they recognize those efforts, because a lot of people don't understand about dance in general and what it takes to get to be at that level, that top of the game level, which, like you said, people call me Michael Jordan of grass dancing, and that was what all was. And he's my hero as well. But to be performing at that level is takes a lot of dedication and a lot of hard work and a lot of effort.
That's so awesome. Amanda said thank you, and she said, "Wow." And Lisa Whitecloud says, "Do you and Jonathan speak Cree to each other?" What else say is Tanse.
And there you go. Janet, what I like to also kind of elaborate a little bit about some of the work that I've done here. In
Okay.
2013, since 2013, 2015, 2017, 2019, and now 2021, I was fortunate, and I got $8 million out of the state general fund to fund the Indian language preservation programs in the state. And in 2015, I also got implemented Indian language immersion programs. And how I got into a language immersion into the school system is that when I was in Hawaii back in 1996, I also choreographed a dance troupe that had done the halftime of the Pro Bowl football. All of the stars in the NFL goes there, and we've done the halftime, and they took us on a tour there with that Hawaiian language immersion program out there, and that's what clicked for me. I said, man, this is what Montana needs. And so that stayed with me all throughout my years. And so in 2015, that's what I got implemented, and that's what we're doing right now. So that's part of the things that I want to leave as part of my legacy in this legislature, is to try to make sure that my future generations are going to carry on and to continue on and prosper that way of life. Our language and our culture is the key of our existence and a key of our communication with the Gustavo, Xiamanto, as you know. And so that's really something, because in 2013, out of the 4,000 members of residents that live in Rocky Boy, at that time, that survey cited 268 fluent Cree speakers, or no, 168. I'm sorry, it was 168 fluent Cree speakers at that time, and today we're down to 50. And so that need is really, really important to try to make sure that we do that. And because the kids are in the public school system every day, and that with that language immersion that's in the schools, those kids are kind of at a disadvantage, because when they come home, their disadvantage is that they don't have a infrastructure within their home, no way to speak to. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is with our tribal colleges, trying to get the family strengthening for the parents and the kids to go to the tribal college and take the language programs at that level, to make sure that so that they can learn and start to pick up and carry on sentences and all of that stuff, and to make that. And that's how the concept that I had, and that's what I have in Montana state law today.
Good work. That's so awesome. That and yeah, language is very important. And yes, I'm Cree, and for me, how I started learning it is by writing music and started learning writing music in Cree and using our Cree dictionary. And Lenny Firefly said, "Tansin Ichimus." And Amanda says, "How can I follow Jonathan Windeboy? Such an interesting and inspiring guest. Thanks, Rhonda."
No,
Do
I
you have
don't
any
have
social media?
I've never been on Facebook in my life, and I don't plan on it because too much drama. But my email is REP, short for Representative Robert Edward Paul. The number's 3232. JWB is in my initials, so that's rep32jwb@gmail.com. And my cell phone number is 406-945-1805. And I had that cell number since 1998 when I had my first
Holy,
bag phone.
I probably still have it on my old phone that I lost.
Probably is because I had that first number when I had my first bag phone.
Holy, I'm just typing in your email here
Rep
for the
32, Rep 32
at
JWB
Gmail at
at
gmail
Gmail. Yes,
dot com, and then your phone number. I'm gonna write that in
406
406 or 403
945 406
406
945
945
1805.
1805. Okay, there you
You
go,
know,
Amanda.
one of the things that a lot of times, when politics is rough, man, it's a tough way. As people think it's easy, but as tribal politics, there's always somebody who will always try to take you down. And that's with anything. Like I said, nobody's perfect, but you just got to get up and you just got to keep on going and keep the focus on what you want to accomplish. And that's one of the things that I try to keep in the forefront. And that's one of the things that I like to say in life in general is to never lose focus, because all of the other dramatics and everything, because there'll always be those people, naysayers. But when you keep your focus on the big goal of what you want to accomplish, then you'll get there eventually.
That's good advice. So Jane Ross said that is excellent. We also had teachers attend that conference you were talking about, and we also have a Cree immersion here in OCN from nursery to grade 6, and all students must have a Cree course to graduate. That's here
Nice,
in my community. Yeah,
nice.
so yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the things that I always talk about on the floor of the legislature, of that history, is that, down here in the United States, we've been through so much, the French Indian Wars back in the 1600s, and people down here don't even understand or realize that the U.S. Constitution was based upon the what was called the Wampum Belt in the Six Nations Iroquois Confederacy in upstate New York, because once that revolution had changed, where the United States had become independent from the British rule, is that these people didn't know how to govern. They didn't know what laws or whatever, what way of life that they would follow. And so that's when these founders of the Constitution went up to upstate New York, and they understood, start to learn what that wampum belt was, and it was the laws of nature, the laws of the universe, the laws of what our people have survived on for centuries and centuries before they came over here. And so that's what they did, is when they did do that, they put together that constitution that only benefited a few, and that was those non-natives, those fair-skinned man that was over there. And that's one of the things that I tried to tell them is that people don't know that history. And then in the 1800s, when the 1800s came about, the Indian policy down here was under the Department of War. So you know that what kind of policy and what kind of what the indigenous people came to down here, because in 1492, 1500 around there was estimated 25 million natives that lived on this land here, and then in 1900 it was down to 200,000, and now today we're at 2.1 million. So the when people talk about genocide happened here within our own countries, and people don't want to hear that. And when you hear history, and history is, we see it in public education, they don't put that. They don't put the histories about what atrocities that some of our where a lot of children who went to boarding schools, residential schools, there's a lot of burial sites and graves that are in the backs of those old schools and churches, you know, and nobody don't want to hear that today. And even in the natives down here in 1924 it was the year that the federal government finally recognized the Native Americans as U.S. citizens in our own country. So these are the things what I tell my colleagues over here, because a lot of them don't know this. So it's really important.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here in Canada too. Wow, what you're talking about, you know, we went through genocide as well, and residential school, and um, oh, and Amanda said it frustrates me that Native American issues do not make national news in the U.S. like here in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, Montana, we have this session, we have 11 natives that have been out of 150. So some of the things that we have going on here, as I explained to you, some of my accomplishments here, they're it's far and in between, and you know, mainstream media won't recognize that it's important for us. A victory in this day and age of politics is far and in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. We need more platforms for Indigenous people to share our good news and the good things that we're doing in our community, and that's part of one of the reason why I started this show, to give us a platform to share what my brothers and sisters are doing all over Turtle Island and in Australia and Mexico, and a lot of people are doing good things, I'm happy that this is a platform where they get to share their stories, and it'll be documented now too through my YouTube channel. And my sister said, I share my parents' residential school life and how they pass their traumas down to us. I do presentation on intergeneral residential school trauma, and a lot of mainstream still don't know what happened to us. And Jane said, get up when you speak the truth. Marianne Patrick is tuning in. Hi, Marianne. Hi there. I just wanted to say Jonathan is the most videographed dancer on the Powwow Trail. Everyone wants to catch his moves. I have many years of his dancing on film. That's awesome, Marianne.
Yeah, she started following me back in. Hey there, sister, how you doing? She's been following me every time I go to Powwow. She'd pull out her VHS and her all of everything throughout the 80s and to the 90s. And now she pulls out her phone and she starts videoing. So
that is so cool. That's good to know. Thank you for sharing that, Marianne. And I believe it. Yeah, I believe it because, like I said, when me and Janet go to powwows, and when we hear Jonathan's at the powwow, if we for sure we're gonna watch him when he's dancing in his contest, because his dancing is your dancing is so beautiful. I'm just talking like you're not here. I forgot you're my guest. I'm looking at Marianne's name there.
Also, too, what you ought to do, and I know she gave me her videos there, but what I would like to do is get those digitized, and I bet you there'd probably be a whole bunch of them that would show up on YouTube.
Oh, there's a lot of videos on there is a lot of videos of you on YouTube. I had to pick and choose which one to show this evening. And Marianne says, "Hi, brother. Nice to hear your voice."
Yeah. Well, yeah, you said it was going to last an hour, and we're at the hour mark. So
Yeah.
you're
So
right.
before we go, is Rocky Boy having a powwow this summer in August?
I have no idea. I'm not on that pay scale.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to watch out for it then, and hopefully we'll be able to see you dance on the powwow trail really soon. And we're all missing powwow and missing watching you dance. And you're like I said, you're a beautiful dancer, and everyone tuning in. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm really happy that you agreed to be my guest today, or guest 75 for my show since I started last spring. So I want to thank you again. I know you're a busy person, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and your the history and the stories that with us this evening.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you know what I shared with you and your audience is I don't do it too often.
That's so that I'm really honored that you're saying that to me, because a lot of the Powell people that I've interviewed, they're telling me that I've gotten an exclusive interview. So I really I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and for you for taking the time and sharing all your knowledge.
Yeah, you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Yeah. So do you have any parting words before we sign off?
Well, I when I when people were asking me how I was feeling here early on in the session, I said, "Well, I said I got a fever." They said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, powwow fever." So hopefully I'll be able to get rid of that here pretty quick. But you know, as far as my parting words to everybody is, come on, don't give up, try hard, and whatever you do in life. My one of my late uncles told me that when I asked him what he thought of me running for National Congress of American Indians leadership, he told me, he said, "I can't tell you yes, I can't tell you no. All I can tell you is when you go for something, shoot for the sky."
Awesome
So
parting words.
don't,
Thank you very
don't
much.
yep, and don't limit yourself, because the only
Yeah.
one that's going to be holding you back is you.
Yep, that is so true. Thank you for your knowledge and your time. And I'm so honored that you were got to spend some time with you. I miss seeing you and the Powwow Trail, and hopefully we'll get to meet up soon again when the world heals, when the world starts healing, and we could
Yep,
dance again on the Powwow Trail again.
yep,
Yeah. So I just want to say, everyone, stay safe, stay healthy. And my next guest on Monday is Native American flute player Jan Michael Looking Wolf.
Tune in again next time when Rhonda interviews another up-and-coming Indigenous superstar. Only on Indigenous Superstar.